All right. Think we're ready to go here, everyone? Okay, let's call this meeting to order then. Did anyone have a chance to read the minutes from our last gathering? And if so, can I get a motion to approve, or do you want a second to look those over?
I looked him over earlier. I'm willing to, make the first motion to approve.
Thanks, Patrick.
Second.
Jeff, I lost you for a sec.
Oh, I was going to second that.
Thanks, bud. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Nice, nice. Thanks all. Okay. Well, I didn't know if Dr. Peoples was gonna join us today, so I put her on the agenda just in case. But we can take this minute to introduce Paul Bars, our new commission member. Paul, welcome. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you. Nice to meet everyone. And I look forward to participating in the commission. I'm lived in Webster about 4 years. I'm an attorney at Legal Services of Eastern Missouri. I specialize in currently utility advocacy, so helping our clientele with challenges with utilities. I was formerly at Bryan Cave as a corporate antitrust lawyer. As I said, I've been in Webster about 4 years. Before that, worked in Toronto for 6 years, and before that in Los Angeles. But I do have a St. Louis kind of history. I moved here from the UK as a teenager and was here for like 3 years of high school and then went off to college. But my parents and other family remained, and I've now back here with my family. I've got 3 boys. The eldest just graduated last year from the high school, Webster High School. And I've got a 9th grader and a 3rd grader at Avery.
Awesome. Great. Well, welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks for hopping on board, man.
I should say,
okay.
I'm an avid cyclist and pedestrian, and that was sort of the reason for the interest in the commission. So.
Awesome.
Good. We're gonna need that sort of passion. I love it. Thank you. Okay. Todd, did we have any visitor comments?
No.
No. Okay. Fabulous. Well then, without anything else, then we are ready for Derek's introduction. Everyone, please meet Derek Jackson. He's the Deputy City Manager at Collinsville. You guys have heard me talk about the Collinsville Sustainability Plan now. I don't have to talk about it anymore because Derek is going to be here to share the work that Collinsville is doing and their really incredible plan with us so that we as a commission might consider developing something similar to this plan and adopting pieces of it that work for us and modifying it. So Derek, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Thanks for having me, Commission. I appreciate your time and the opportunity. Jamie and I got to know each other. We were participating recently here in the St. Louis Green Business Challenge, kind of a kickoff meeting. And that's where we got to kind of share some of the things different municipalities are doing in the region. And she asked me to jump on to talk with you all about adopting a sustainability plan for the city of Webster Grove. So happy to share with you kind of what we did here in the city of Collinsville. We're just right across the river, about 12-minute drive past the river. Jamie, can I go ahead and share screen then? As far as I got a real brief PowerPoint presentation I was going to go over with you guys.
Yeah, Todd, are you able to make
Todd's already looks like he's already given me permission here. So let me go ahead and
Good to have it, yeah.
All right, just a second, please. And sorry, I don't want to be death by PowerPoint, but typically with a lot of these things, visuals are pretty helpful. So do you actually see the screen, or is it the presentation mode? You can see the full screen?
I see the full screen.
Okay, very good. Okay, again, my name is Derek Jackson. I'm give you a real quick background on myself. I'm the deputy city manager here for the city of Collinsville. I've been here since November 2017. Previously, my career has mainly been as a land use planner. I spent a lot of time in community development department, so I'm the kind of the equivalent of Mara Perry and the city's community development department. So a lot of time working with zoning, land use planning, residents on a lot of grassroots issues that might be going on in the community. So we created a committee very similar to you all back in 2018. It's called our Cool Cities Committee. Cool Cities is kind of the verbiage that the Sierra Group uses to promote sustainability, and a lot of the sustainability commissions on this side of the river kind of went with that branding. So we have one, Glen Carbon, Edwardsville, Alton, Granite City. They're all that's kind of the brand on this side. It's overall the effort's still promoting sustainability within the community, in addition to carbon footprint, those kind of things. So going to go over our sustainability plan, kind of what all's in it. We divided the plan up into 5 different sections. A lot of the language in the plan, full disclosure, was language borrowed from a fellow community. The city of Granite City already adopted a plan in 2019. We got our hands on a copy, and quite frankly, we probably used 80% of the language that they had in that plan. And it touches on all these 5 different categories here, from transportation to land use to facilities, urban planning, environmental, and then kind of community outreach items. So with that, please know that just because you take language from our community, that's a compliment to that community. There's no point in reinventing the wheel for a lot of these things. I think as you guys, if you skim through this, which we won't do here in this presentation certainly, but as you read through these policies, they're all kind of just head nodders. Like, yeah, these are things that we as a community can get behind. These are policies that we want to see grow within our municipality. So we'll go quickly just through these 5 slides. I'll show you kind of the just general subject matter in each one, and then we'll kind of boil down and kind of what I did with our committee to get this approved here by the city council, and then it's adopted at that point. So the first category is transportation. Again, kind of the obvious ones, making sure that streets are walkable, ped friendly, trying to green the city's fleet, any opportunity we can to, get our vehicles that are out there in the fleet to be electric vehicles, and then add charging stations in the community as well. That's a big one. That's something we're currently exploring actually for our capital improvement plan for this year, is to start kind of small with, vehicles for inspectors and kind of non-public work vehicles, and eventually get to the larger kind of public work dump trucks and things like that as the technology on those kind of things get better. And then mobility options, trying to promote ride finders is a big one on the side of the river. I think they do some work on the Missouri side as well, but trying to promote more than just equal occupancy travel throughout the community. Buildings, grounds, and lighting. This is pretty much any either city-owned or privately owned building, trying to get them to go as green as they can, either slapping on solar panels or geothermal if it's new construction, any type of opportunities. Our plan promotes policies to endorse that, as well as anything we can control within our right-of-ways, like signals and lights, making sure those are with Ameren, Illinois, LED, those kind of things. And if there's opportunity for reusing buildings, Collinsville has its share of blighted buildings within the community. I don't know Webster Groves as well. I imagine there's some out there looking for opportunities instead of just straight up removing them. How can they be repurposed into something that'll bring life into that particular area of the city, which is always a good one. And then lastly, renewables. We really want to look out for solar this year. Wind doesn't do so well in our part of the state. Usually you have to go north up to Peoria and northern to get good megawatt solar turbines. Around here, we might explore small wind turbines for residential use, but the city probably won't pursue that too much. Environmental, we are, between where I'm sitting and where you are all sitting, there's the Great American Bottoms just to the east of the Mississippi. We're a very wet state over here in Illinois, so stormwater management's a big one for us, making sure we're slowing water down before it leaves the site, and basically taking care so we're not creating upstream or downstream flooding. It's a big one. Water quality and conservation. We do have our own water utility, making sure it's up on all the EPA regulations and minimum requirements there. Air quality, making sure that we're doing our part to try and limit, emissions. And that's something I'll jump into here in a couple slides, kind of an effort we're working on our greenhouse gas inventory, and then waste reduction and recycling. Anything we can do to partner with Republic Services, who is our waste hauler. They're very good and work with us getting information out there and kind of educating our residents so they know what can and can't go into the recycled bin and those kind of things. Land use planning, again, this is where you can all really partner with your community development department, updating on a regular basis the comprehensive plan. The sustainability plan is kind of another policy document. We'll talk in this a little bit more depth that really helps drive home changes to the city's code of ordinances, either in the form of zoning or budget projects, those kind of things. Green space conservation on developed land. We don't have a whole lot of, we have our share of parks here, but everything incorporated into the city that we control, we have a very small amount of forest and things like that. We have a decent amount of wetlands and some farm. We do work with those owners to try and preserve those as much as we can. And then smart growth, that's just a general buzzword for planners, making sure that when a development does come through, you're planning for things like sidewalks, connectivity, trying to avoid those cul-de-sacs when you can, those kind of things, which, at the end result increases the property value for the surrounding area if it has more amenities and it's a place people want to live for the long haul. And then this is probably the most fun one is, community development, engagement, and education. This is very much, the outreach, working with your community. A big one thing we're trying to do is have more farmers markets to get more local food, making sure we're not having any food deserts within our community where folks can't, have access to fresh produce and things like that. Business synergies, we're starting to do our own kind of internal green business challenge here at the city, kind of recognize anytime a school or a business does some type of sustainable effort, we want to recognize them in the effort, in the hopes that it will inspire other businesses to do sustainable actions. Regional sustainability, working with folks like you all, is from our perspective on different communities, how we can partner and get engaged with the Missouri Botanical Gardens and other types of sustainable efforts. We don't want to just keep siloed here in Collinsville. We want to try and partner and work and outreach with everyone else around us. Raising environmental awareness, through social media campaigns, those kind of things. And then, we're quite frankly, we're trying to land, green jobs over here. If we can get manufacturing of solar arrays, things like that, we have an area that slated for light industrial manufacturing, and that's something that we're trying to angle for here at the city, is to bring jobs into the community from the green sector. So that's just, again, real quick flash in the pan. If you have time to peruse our plan, please do. It gets more into depth than that, but just want to kind of show you guys the highlights. The key difference between us and the city of Grant City is we really want to emphasize logos and images and infographics big time. The document, like any planning policy document, as you can imagine, it's probably a little dry to the average reader. So what we really wanted to emphasize in our plan is a good use of infographics. That way, when somebody is, skimming your plan, you have images like this that kind of at least paints a picture of what it is, the subject matter you're talking about. So would highly encourage you, when you have the opportunity to, and you don't want to go crazy on it too. You don't want to have it where someone just had fun with picture art and just plugged every image they can in there, but something that's relevant. If you can get communities, like we were lucky enough to find this old picture of our Collinsville Herald, which is now a brewery and distillery, kind of having things like that so they can get a visual of what it is you're trying to achieve is definitely goes a long way when it comes to the overall flavor of the plan. So where you guys are at right now, kind of talking with Jamie and talking about how you're planning on doing a sustainability plan in the future, is really kind of where we were at the beginning of this. I would say probably this says September 19th when we actually got started writing, but it's probably that July of 2019 when we're like, our committee agreed we need to move forward and start putting pen to paper to kind of come up with a policy plan. So our process involved, initially coming up, we got Grant City's version, we tweaked it. We took a couple months there to kind of create it and craft it to meet our own language. From there, we went on a campaign for information sharing and soliciting input from the public, as well as from other boards and commissions. So in particular, we have a planning commission as well. We went to them for input, since those are the folks that are dealing with land use decisions, reviewing zoning changes, variance requests, special or conditional uses, those kind of things. So they gave us their feedback. We also went to our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, talked to them, and Historic Preservation Committee. So our strategy, as far as getting adoption and approval from the city council, which is kind of the end result that you're looking for, is to get as many eyes on it and as much buy-in from all these different players. So we got good feedback from them. We did do a public outreach process. We had originally 4 open houses planned at the beginning of 2020. 2 of those got nixed because of COVID, unfortunately, but we were able to get 2 in. You see the picture here. This is one of our open houses. We essentially took those 5 target areas, and we had boards. We asked people to go around with sticky notes, ask them if they agree or disagree with the content we had. Are we missing anything? What's your overall impression? And at both open houses, we had good attendance as well as good feedback that, hey, what you guys have here written is exactly what we're looking for from a community standpoint. So getting that input and buy-in from the residents helped as well. So yeah, COVID, basically under COVID, that was opportunity. We did push the survey out online using SurveyMonkey, which was a good tool because we have a very active community here when it comes to social media. There's a Facebook group called the Collinsville Connection, and it seems like every person that lives in this community is on there. As you can imagine, there's gossip, there's business introductions, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on, and the occasional complaint about city services in some capacity, like every community. And anytime we see those, what we do is we send them a link. As an example, somebody was complaining that our zoning code doesn't allow gardens in the front yard, and that's kind of the case with a lot of communities, unfortunately, when it comes to gardening. But that was our opportunity. Hey, you don't like that? Here's a link to our sustainability plan. We'd love you to kind of add, tell us what you want, kind of thing. And we got favorable reception doing that by pushing that out. So we got a good amount of people giving us feedback online. From there, basically July and August of 2020, we took all that feedback, made revisions, went back to the committees for a second round so they can see kind of the things that we changed per their request. And then in September, October, we were in front of the city council and requested approval. And the council, again, the fact that one of the council members said, I like how many people you had look at this document. That really gives me some peace of mind knowing that this represents the community as a whole and not just a small, group of people. So yeah, that's basically how we got this going. This very much is our policy document, something we're going to potentially do here in the coming years. The kind of the next natural step after a sustainability plan is a climate action plan. Climate action plan is a little bit more ambitious in the sense that it goes out there instead of having general policy statements. That's when you really start coming up with goals. Like, hey, we want to reduce paper usage of our city hall by X%, or we want to reduce the emissions by the city by X% or something like that. It's a little bit more ambitious than the plan. But again, the policy, and this is kind of really what I wanted to highlight with you all, kind of where you're going. All the documents you see here on the left, it's like our sustainability plan, our comprehensive plan. We have a parks master plan and strategic plan. I'm sure Webster Groves has all got similar documents to this. These are all policy documents, and really to get these adopted is critical because this is really where the rubber meets the road with your city manager and the city council and the department heads for making sure they're bringing the policies stated in these policy documents to the actionable items, which is your budget, which is your capital improvement plan or whatever your equivalent is for doing improvements within the city where you're investing capital dollars, as well as zoning code. That's what Mara Perry, your community development director, needs guidance from the sustainability plan as well as a comprehensive plan. So she knows how to make adjustments to any type of land use decisions that come before the city on a daily basis. So do know that by setting this up, it's really important for you all to develop one, because then at that point, then you can start formally, working with department heads, working with the mayor and the city manager to start earmarking, basically improvements down the road. We do usually a 5-year capital improvement plan. This year we happen to do just a single year one because of COVID. We didn't know what our financial, future looked like with COVID and until we basically got to this year. But we're going to get back to a 5-year plan, and that's why identifying items within your sustainability plan. That's your time to start earmarking those for future projects that can actually come to fruition. So that's just a quick flash in the pan with kind of my advice to you all. Real quick, I'll kind of go over some of the cool stuff. In addition to that, our committee's been working on. We team up with Madison County. We do recycling drive, drop-offs, those kind of things. One of our committee members is actually building a home off the grid. So the bottom left picture is him. He invited a bunch of folks over to kind of see the different methods he's using to install or build basically a green home that's going to be entirely energy neutral by the time he finishes it. We partner with a Goshen Market out of Edwardsville. They have what's called a beat box. It's basically a mobile farmers market, and they went to one of our low-income areas where we do have a housing project, and they basically were there to make sure that they're selling affordable and cheap local produce to them. We did have the luxury of banning spraying for mosquitoes here in the city of Collinsville. I say that because I realize over in Missouri, you guys have, I guess, different powers that be when it comes to the decision-making process and spraying for mosquitoes at large. But my understanding, at least talking with University City, is it sounds like it's a I don't know if it's a county or who it is you have to deal with, but we actually, control the mosquito spraying process here in the city. For us, it was a win-win, because it was an inconvenience to all the residents that were trying to barbecue or whatever else, and here comes a truck spraying, chemicals in the air. It's a operational savings for us because we're not paying a guy overtime to go out there, and supply savings for us. So all we're doing still to date is larvicide wafers into water streams and things like that, which really arguably is kind of more effective than spraying, because when you spray, indeed, you kill any mosquitoes that are active at that point in time, but the larvae is still alive, and the consequence of that is you're killing pollinators like butterflies and honeybees, those kind of things too. Our Cool Cities Committee, we adopted a local highway, so we're promoting kind of trash cleanup in the area and our streets. We created a recycle bag that we hand out all the farmers markets to try and promote, getting away from single-use plastic bags. And the cool thing was every time we'd come back to the next farmers market, everyone would have that bag, which is really cool. And to kind of see people bringing them back out. We legalized beekeeping. Beekeeping in our zoning code, our code was a little dated, wasn't allowed. In the summer of 19, we legalized that, so all of our residents can do beekeeping within the community. One of the assets I would encourage you to come over and check out when you do have time, either with family or just on your own accord, is our Willoughby Farm, which is like an educational learning center. There we have all kinds of cool programs where we teach people how to do a variety of things. It's also, from a city perspective, it's a venue that we can rent out, so it does have a little bit of revenue potential. A lot of folks like having weddings and things like that at Willoughby Farm, but they host beekeeping classes. They show folks how to do composting. They have a junior ecology club, and something kind of cool we started in 2020 was goat scaping. So we do have goats on the farm. They're one of our happiest employees here at the city. We will actually lend those out to residences who have bush honeysuckle and other types of invasive species. And it's a very eco-friendly way of clearing, kind of undesirable, if it's poison ivy or what have you. It's a very cool way of clearing those out. And that's been such a hit that we actually have them in some of our parks now. And folks walk around. Obviously, it's great with children and all that, but legitimately, they're good at clearing land. So we like to say they're our happiest employees here at the city, and they do really good work for us. The last 3 years we participated in the Green Business Challenge. It sounds like Webster is going to be in this year, which is fantastic. Something we plan on doing for this year, which is a big step. We wanted to do this. It's outlined in our sustainability plan, is to do a greenhouse gas inventory. So we're partnering with SIUE, Dr. Sharon Locke. We have an intern named Valeska Duval, and what she's doing is I'm basically providing Valeska all of our utility information from all the facilities here at the city, and she's taking all that data and pumping it into ClearPath, which is a software provided by ICLEI. It's another environmental group that's out there, and I think it's like $600 for a membership to get access to the software. And then she pumps that in, and basically it shoots out a report, which kind of gives us both as a community, how much overall the city council is putting out, and a lot of that's using aggregate data from Ameren and Southwest Electric, two of our utilities on the side of the river. But then also it gives a snapshot of the city, what we're actually spitting out for carbon emissions for city facilities, our fleet, and those kind of things. So we're excited to get that information in August. We really subscribe to key performance indicators and benchmark management over here. So once we actually have baseline data, then we can really see whenever we do add solar panels or take an old building and retrofit it and make it more sustainable, then we'll actually have some baseline numbers to see how big of a dent we're making in a positive way when it comes to emissions. So this is a pretty exciting project for us this year. In addition to that, we started kind of doing little mini series for videos and all that. I'm gonna go ahead and start this. It's just a real quick, like 50-second video here that we put together for invasives. Jamie, if you don't mind, let me know if you can't hear this, because I don't know if I clicked on the share audio. So let me know if you hear audio once to start here. You should hear music. Can you hear music, Timmy?
It's soft.
Okay, let me see if I can turn it up.
No, I can't hear anything.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind, sorry for the technical difficulty. I'm gonna stop sharing for just a second, because I'm pretty
no
sure
problem.
I did not click on that particular feature. Share sound, here we go. Sorry, I'm at the beginning real quick.
No problem.
There we go.
All right, very good. Thank you. The Cool Cities Committee, that committee has been put together. It's a sustainability group. It's an advisory committee for the city of Collinsville. And what the group does is they look at how can we make our community more sustainable, both operationally from the city's perspective, as well as events within the community.
Well, I think the most important thing and the most interesting thing and one of the most fun things that we've done is that we've helped to write the sustainability plan for the city of Collinsville. What it does is prescribe ways in which the city can be a greener city.
And out here today, we're doing the Honeysuckle Drive, which is one of our big initiatives of trying to raise awareness within the community for clearing bush honeysuckle within people's yards. Our strategy is to cut it down, and then we spray herbicide on top of it to prevent it from growing. And then when we take it from there, we chip and mulch it up.
So the bush honeysuckle competes for resources from other native plants. It works to compete against their nutrients, the sunlight, and the water that other plants need to grow. Early spring and late fall are ideal for removing this bush honeysuckle because you can still see their leaves, whereas the native plants and other trees and shrubs in the area, they've already lost their leaves.
Interested in volunteering or in need of community service hours? Visit the Parks and Recreation Department's website at collinsvilleal.org and click on Volunteer Opportunities. There you can register to be notified of upcoming events within the community. You can also follow the Collinsville Parks and Recreation and Willoughby Heritage Farm Facebook page for future announcements. Yeah, this is, again, it's kind of the branding and getting information out there. Those are all high school students from local Key Club that came out and volunteered that day. And, obviously it's advancing kind of the environmental with invasive species, but, there's an opportunity again to kind of get volunteers in the community and kind of grow the network of folks that are helping out on a variety of fronts. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you all. That's, if anything, I know I was kind of flexing there in the last couple of slides as far as showing you what we got going on, but that's kind of the fun you can have with doing stuff like this too. So if there's any questions, you guys have about, creating a sustainability plan, I'd be more than happy to answer those. Even if it's a question you might have after our meeting today, please, you can share my information. Jamie's got my contact information. I'm more than happy to help you guys out as much as I can.
Thanks, Derek. You deserve to flex. That's a great, it's awesome what you guys are doing. Does anybody have questions for Derek?
I have a quick one, Derek. So looking at those plans, and you were talking about the graphics and kind of the outreach and all that stuff. Do you have who put all that stuff together? I mean, there's a lot of work there. Was that professionally done?
No, actually. So two answers to your question. Primarily myself. I use an InDesign. So we did use a little bit fancier software. We use Adobe InDesign, which just has a little bit more tools and when it comes to editing than Microsoft Publisher. However, my secret weapon is that we do have our communications coordinator is a photographer by trade. He has the ability to fly drones and very savvy when it comes to doing Photoshop and things like that. So even though I compiled that, indeed I did get a little support from him on kind of polishing some of the pictures and all that. I know we used Adobe stock to find a lot of the infographics that are out there, and we're happy to be lucky enough to have a license, Adobe stock license, so we can get some assets off of there. But that was primarily done in-house. We didn't subcontract out anything when it came to compiling that plan.
Derek, oh, go ahead, Elizabeth. Sorry.
I was the one who interrupted you, Jamie. If you sorry. About that. I'm curious, Derek, if we go back in the timeline beforehand, did the council say we need this commission, we need this plan?
Yeah.
Or did it come from staff? What were the origins?
Great question. So like I mentioned, I started in Collinsville in October of 17. In November of 17, the exact month after I started, the council already had planned a public forum for people to come and speak and express what they'd like to see for the city council, a town meeting rather. So in that meeting, there was actually a small group of residents who came. One of them was a member from Glen Carbon, a community next to us, Cool Cities Committee and said, hey, we really would like the city of Collinsville to create some type of sustainability committee. That's what planted the seed. And there were a couple different members on the council that were on it now at that time, but that started the seed. It was a grassroots effort of residents coming saying, hey, we want this. The committee knew that I worked, or the council rather knew that I worked with kind of sustainability efforts in the past for other municipalities I worked for. So by October of 18, we actually had adopted our code of ordinances to create a Cool Cities Committee. And one of the things that the council knew we were going to do at that time is to start creating a sustainability plan. So it did have some grassroots effort with support of council along the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Derek, did
Yes,
you
ma'am.
find, did you need grant funding or any kind of funding to get this off the ground? What was there any
Yeah.
financial demands?
Yeah, there really wasn't, Christine. It was entirely just staff time that went into this, and then obviously, volunteer time from members of our commission, that showed up to the open houses and stuff like that. But we did not have to go out to contract to get a third party. You can do that. I know that it's a lucrative market for a lot of firms out there to kind of do master plans and updates like that, and you can spend a whole lot of money and get a similar product. I realize that mine's probably not as sharp looking as if we went out and got a consultant to help us create it. But with that, we were basically able to do it all in house without incurring additional expense beyond just additional staff time and volunteering from commission members. So you have options how you go that way. It's pretty much kind of how much you got budgeted and what you can, what staff you have accessible to you to help you put it together.
Derek, how did you do the bag initiative?
Yeah, so we have a farmers market. It's once a month that we have, and essentially that was something that we really wanted to. We went to the first one we had, me and the Cool Cities chair, and we noticed that were a bunch of plastic bags. So we did have a budget. The commission does have a budget for supplies and those kind of things. And we ended up going. There's a company out of they're in the middle of the state. I forgot if they're in Champaign or Peoria, but they basically had purely recyclable bags, tote bags essentially, and they allowed us to put our logo on them. We put like a hashtag "Love Where You Live," buy local, those kind of things, and really that was really a giveaway. We didn't charge for those. That wasn't the point of it. The point was to raise awareness for single-use plastic. So we'd show up to every farmers market with about 200 of those bags in a box, and we set up our own kiosk. We got permission from the market to let them know what we were doing there, and then at the same time we were handing out magnets that people can throw on their refrigerator that showed what you can recycle, what you can't, and that was kind of our information opportunity. And every farmers market we dished out all 200 of them, and folks would come get them, and then like I mentioned earlier, they'd come back. We'd see the same people using them, or I'd spot them at the local Schnucks or something like that, or Aldi's with them. That's where I really got proud when I started seeing them in the grocery stores. Like, heck yeah, but that's essentially all that was, is just sourcing a sustainable bag, and then handing them out when you get an opportunity to do so at an event like that. Oh, in addition to that, we have a welcome kind of bag for residents whenever they come to City Hall to open a water count. That was another opportunity, a bag full of Flair and a recyclable bag, and handing those out at that time too, to kind of set a first impression for new residents.
Derek, did I hear you right that you guys didn't set any goals before you wrote the sustainability plan, and you're going to just make whatever goals you establish into the climate action plan?
Correct. Yeah. When it comes to coming in with like hard set goals of like, hey, we want to reduce this by X. Correct. We don't have anything like that in this plan. It's basically just general policies. And typically when it comes to a policy document, you want to ramp up to it. So yeah, our next step after this, the chairman and I discussed, is probably in 2022, we really want to start putting together and coming up with some targetable goals. And once we have this greenhouse gas inventory and have some base data, then we feel comfortable at that point to actually set some goals we can accomplish. So correct. Yeah, we didn't include any hard numbers or hard, goals like that. And that's kind of our next step after this. Now, there's nothing stopping you from including that in if you have the resources and kind of know what those goals are ahead of time. So don't feel like just because we didn't doesn't mean Webster Groves can't. That's just kind of the approach we're taking to kind of ramp up towards it.
Real quick follow. Are you guys pursuing putting solar panels on city buildings?
We are. Yeah, that's something that I'm going to be doing research here this summer. We're going into our capital improvement planning session here in third and fourth quarter, and that's something we're going to be looking at. I'd like to put as many on the city hall and every other facility we have, even freestanding ones in the parks that aren't necessarily on buildings, just kind of a freestanding solar array in a big open space. That's something we're looking at this year. I'm also keeping my ear low to the ground to see with the federal funding that might come to the pipe for incentives and those kind of things, because that's kind of, you don't want to be on the bleeding edge. You want to be on the leading edge or cutting edge, but not bleeding edge. And then, I'd hate for us to do a huge capital investment and then next year there's, a significant grant that could have bought down a lot of that cost. So we're going slow, but we want to make sure that we're going that direction as well.
That's awesome. Okay, any other questions? All
Great
right.
presentation.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Thank you all
Really.
for having me. Again, I'm sure I'll be seeing Jamie here and more of the Green Business Challenge stuff in the next coming months. But please feel free to reach out. Thank you all very much for having me. I look forward to reading a future Webster Grove sustainability plan here in the near future.
That's right. Derek,
Yeah.
thanks so much.
All right. Thank you so much.
All
Well,
right.
Jamie, I hope you don't mind. I'm
Thank
going to pop off because I have a
Yeah.
sustainability committee of my own here. I got to prep for here in a couple of
Yeah.
minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. So yeah, it's a really great plan. And we're gonna, let's see here. Is it okay that I talk about this now instead of waiting for new business? Is that all right, Todd, or should I wait?
It's fine. Since you just had it, you can talk about it.
All right, cool. Thanks. Yeah, so I wonder what your thoughts are, everyone, as to the benefit of having a document like this that other parts of the city and with buy-in from other commissions and the public, that we can turn to this as a guiding light as it pertains to sustainability.
I think it's a great idea. I think I mentioned to you earlier, I just think, I feel like this commission has, from time to time, we get through one initiative and we're sort of racking our brains to figure what's next. And, we're rejoining the Green Cities Challenge. And I think that complements this to a great degree. And it's also something that as we have turnover on the commission on a regular basis, it helps new members understand sort of what our long-term goals are. It's just sort of a blueprint for our work. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
I would agree, Jamie. And while Derek was talking, I went online. It looks like you can download this stuff. I'd like to take a look through there and see what's in it. There's a lot more than what he showed in that presentation, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very thorough. While not being too dense, right? So it's not like a giant whopping textbook of policy, but or plans and ideas. But yeah, I think it's worth looking at to be sure.
So I personally, Jamie, I thought the best thing that he said was that, they went through a process such that they kind of, I forget exactly how he put it, but they got buy-in from the commission, did it from the city council. So it really became part of the budget process, what was in there, and you could use it to make budgetary decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's super important too. Yeah, for sure. I love all the pieces coming together. Your community, you're making sure that you're facing your commissions and council being on board and Dr. Peoples as well. So yeah. Okay. So do we need to, so our next steps, and this is probably maybe a Laura question. I did speak with Dr. Peoples last week, and she is curious to learn a little more about what a sustainability plan can look like. And so as far as the next steps for getting this in front of council, what this idea, would we just need to, as a commission, write language, say, you know, looking for, and pardon my, like for next steps, for blessings, for what is it?
Yeah, so I think at our meeting tomorrow night, the first thing for me to do is just raise the idea that you all want to begin to develop a sustainability plan for the city, that you've had a presentation from city administrator in Collinsville who've, you know, talked about the process, and that, you know, you are looking for the council to essentially say, yeah, we want a document like that so we can begin, you know, to consider, right? Because, you know, you guys get to produce the document, but council has to adopt it, right, for it to be meaningful in any way. And so I think we just need, you know, I don't know if blessing's the right word. The council needs to say go or start. And let me tomorrow night raise the issue and find out whether this means a work session conversation, whether it means simply they're fine with it when they hear my 2-minute explanation of what it is. And in the meantime, I think everybody in this commission can take a look at the plan in more detail. And one thing I will do is send a link out tomorrow with our second round of things we get for our meeting that links to the Collinsville plan, so that council members can go take a look at that, just so they get a more concrete sense of what this means.
Okay, great. Do you need me or anyone, the commission, to write any language, or you think
Not yet.
you got it? Okay.
Yeah. We'll see if that's required. If you need to make a formal request, my guess is that if it goes on a work session, one of you or a couple of you will be invited to join us and talk about what it is. But I don't think that we need a formal request at this point.
Okay. All right, great. So then the next natural step that I'm going to recommend then to be anticipating hopefully a council thumbs up would be forming a subcommittee for the plan. But that said, I feel like there can be at our last meeting, we formed like an energy subcommittee, but I think we need to reassess and try to perhaps have 3 different subcommittees that can divide up the plan so that it makes sense. So we're not like spinning our wheels over here in energy, but then, you know, the plan needs some focus and attention in a couple of different areas.
Can I make one suggestion?
Please.
You know, you are not required to only work with the formally appointed members of your commission. And I know you probably have some former members of this commission that might want to do some of this work with you. So if you're going to, you know, I just don't want you all to feel like you're spread pretty thin. So remember that you can invite people to help you do the work. They just don't get to vote on the final product.
Oh, okay, great. That's helpful.
To that point, would there be employees or managers of Webster Grove City that would be interested in helping with this process?
Well, you've got me, and then.
Well, but I hate to throw that always on you. Right. That's what I was thinking. Is there a way of expanding the scope to other folks?
Yeah, I mean, parks would have to get involved. You know, and they're into sustainability stuff with the parks, so.
Yeah.
I don't think you would necessarily want to include police and fire at this point, but, you know, at planning and zoning probably, so.
Yeah. Yeah. So natural conversations with them will, yeah, that's a good question, Christine. And then also, I know that like I don't have any graphic skills, and that Collinsville plan is very shiny. Like it's fantastic. Their graphics are great, I think. So yeah, I don't know what that could look like for us too. And if
keep in mind that we as a city now do have a director of community engagement and public affairs. And this is part of the reason that we brought her on, is that when we communicate with the public, to look a little more professional and do it in ways that are more persuasive. So If the council gives a blessing, the city manager is on board. I'm sure Jenny Starkey is her name. I'm sure some of Jenny's time can be spent working on this.
That's beautiful news. Great. Thank you. Okay, so I think, you know, for next steps for the plan, then we'll just be waiting to see how council reacts, and then we will go from there as far as dividing up what areas of interest our commission members have, and also thinking more widely, you know, thinking of our Kim and our Eric and our Danielle of the past. And that's, you know, that's who I know. You guys probably know more people who've been on the commission who have a really great, a lot of information and that they might potentially want to add to. So, okay, cool. So that was our second bullet point our first bullet point under new business. So I'm going to backtrack just a smidge here and go to old business. And say that the Green Cities Challenge, Todd and Michael and I have been working on dividing up a menu of options from the Green Cities Challenge, and trying to also kind of make it make sense within the framework of a sustainability plan loosely. But I also think that there's some really great places for us to grow, and things as far as like what some things that Webster's already doing, some things that setting some goals as well that are outside of the plan that Jean Ponzi shared with us from the menu of options. So that's just like a brief update. I think that you know, Todd and Michael and I are going to be working on that a little more. And Todd and Michael, do you guys want to share anything about that yet? You good?
Well, on the thing that Jean shared with us, there are a lot of those things that are on there, the city already is participating in, so that gives us good credit with the Green Cities Challenge. So. Yeah,
for sure. So I think I'm going to spend a little more time analyzing that and creating some goals that we can see how we can implement as we move forward. And I will be happy to report back. If anybody else is interested in talking about that or doing some of that work, just let me know. And it shouldn't be a ton of work because like Todd said, we are doing a lot already.
Jamie, is there a document relating to the Green Cities Challenge that I could just see, just so I kind of understand what it is?
Absolutely. So yeah, just a quick summary. It's what's that's our document right now. So I'll share that out and with the group after our meeting, and you can kind of see what the menu of options looks like. And I'll also send you the links to the challenge and everything that Jean has shared with us to this point. And also they have historical, like on the website, they have like what Webster did. We were a part of it in 2018. And so it has what Webster did, but there's a handful or so of municipalities who participate in it's the Green Business Challenge. There's a handful who participate every year. So you can kind of get an idea of what other municipalities are doing in the area. And that's how I met Derek, was just like our launch meeting and hearing what they had to do. I was like, oh, I want some of that.
Thank you.
Sure thing. Yeah, this is kind of baptism by fire, Paul. Like that. We'll get you up to speed, I promise. Okay, and then our plan commission meeting update. Anybody attend the plan commission meeting from the first Monday of this month by any chance? I can't remember if we had someone signed up for that. I don't think we did. So I'm planning to attend the June meeting.
Maybe I might make one point about the Plan Commission.
Yes.
So that in May, they started discussion of allowing multifamily houses in all things that are all areas that are zoned commercial. So it's another step forward in the multi-housing. That way you don't have to apply for a special zoning in order to build multifamily in those areas. And then we also know that the Douglas Hill / SG Collaborative planned district, they will begin discussing that in June. The expectation is it will take at least 3 months before the Plan Commission has any decision made on that particular project. So it'll start that discussion, but don't expect any conclusion for a while.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Laura. Okay, so also so that Plan Commission, if our commission can, members, and some of you have already stepped up to do that, just to start to pay attention a little more to what's going on as it pertains to planning, because so much has, sustainability touches so much there, that we're going to sign up. If I could ask you all to maybe look at that Sign Up Genius again, to sign up, and then just kind of get to attend that meeting via Zoom, and then just give a quick report back to the commission, so that we kind of have an idea of what's going on, and if we should be paying a little closer attention to sustainability issues. Okay, looking at the agenda, and okay, we talked about the sustainability plan, and then okay, so that subcommittee for the Douglas Hill development, and Paul, I don't know if you're aware of it, it's a major development that is being considered between Rock Hill and Gore and Kirkham and the Tracks. And it's called Douglas Hill. And I think it would be really important and, to pay attention to this. And also, if we're going to have like work sessions as a commission, or trying to pay closer attention to this, if we feel the need for a subcommittee for that, do we feel like that's necessary at this point? Or do you feel like as a whole commission, we need to be having that discussion?
Well, Jamie, I'll chime in here and say it's probably the single largest development that'll happen in our city in the next 50 years. So from a sustainability standpoint, I mean, there's a lot going on there. I know if you look at their information, they address quite a few sustainability topics in what they're doing. So I think it's important.
Yeah, John, I agree. Is there anyone who would like to, instead of a subcommittee, just kind of be the point person to help, just kind of be that you're paying close attention to all things Douglas Hill?
Yeah, I think I could do that. Like I've already reached out to a few folks from Green Street, and like they said they would be happy to come present at our next sustainability meeting. So I can just keep in the loop with them as they're going through this process. So Laura, you mentioned that 3 months from now, like what are they're going in June to change the zoning?
So they have submitted planned commercial zoning plan. They have to have a special zoning for that area to make it multi-use. They have submitted their plan. The Plan Commission is the first legal body organization to consider that. My understanding from the Director of Planning, Mara Perry, is that June, it's complex, right? Because it impacts our planning department in so many ways, our zoning in so many ways. And so my understanding is the June meeting is just to begin to walk through what's in the plan and talk about what is it that the Plan Commission can weigh in on, or there's some things they can't weigh in on. So it's, I think, going to be largely introductory, and then dig into them piece by piece. So how do we talk about parking? How do we talk about density issues? How do we talk about Shady Creek? And then take those in subsequent months, one chunk at a time.
Okay, thank you.
Michael, thanks for stepping up to be that point person right now to help us figure out what how we're going to be able to participate in this. Appreciate that. Okay, so then, Laura, do you have any other updates for us?
I do have a few. I talked to the city manager about when we might expect the bikeable, walkable discussion in work session. Given that we can't really move forward until the construction is finished and how crowded work sessions are, she promised me summer, but couldn't really, probably more like July rather than June. But I still think that's in time, Todd, for us to be ready whenever the construction is finished.
Yeah, I wasn't planning to do this driving till the spring.
Okay. Second thing is the council all received your letter about joining mayors for 100% clean energy. I will raise that tomorrow in the meeting when I talk about the sustainability plan as well. Council will either say we have to talk about it, or they'll say go ahead, or they might say no. I'm not really anticipating that, but I will report back to you what I hear from them tomorrow night. We have, as many of you I'm sure have heard, the council 2 weeks ago enacted an ordinance which allowed A4, well, you guys wrote a letter in support of it, so of course you know what I'm talking about, the A4 zoning for duplexes. There is right now a petition drive going on to put a proposal to repeal that ordinance on the ballot within Webster Groves. So since you all weighed in support of that, I'd suggest that you keep an eye on that. We'll know tomorrow whether or not the petition drive, whether they submitted the signatures or not. Then the signatures will have to be verified, and we'll learn, I'm sure, within a few days when the election will be held. Council, at some point, we have to pull back from advocating for or against these things once it's sent to the ballot. So if you don't see members of Congress, members of the council out there strongly advocating the way we voted, that's why. We really aren't able to do that. But I know that there are some people getting together, a group, if this goes to the ballot, to be supportive of that ordinance. And so keep an eye out for that. I was reminded in the presentation from Derek that we also last week agreed to consider legislation this week that would allow the parks and then also private homes to use goats for the clearance of land. And that was very well received. So I think that we don't need to put that in the plan because it's going to be there by the time we get there. And then I just will say also, we're in budget season. We have a really, really, really challenging budget this year. A significant deficit to fill. So if that is of interest to you at all, we'll have the hearing for the budget, that first meeting in June, and then vote on the budget in the second meeting in June. And I think that's it for me.
Hey, Laura, can I verify something? Did this commission actually send a letter in support of the A4 zoning?
To the Plan Commission, I believe.
Okay.
I thought so. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. We did, Todd?
You're
A couple
nodding.
months ago, yeah, to the Plan Commission.
I can look for that and send it. If we,
Yeah, I don't remember ever voting on that. I think it's something I would have remembered, but maybe I wasn't there.
Look back in your minutes.
Okay.
I did. In fact, I think they read it into the minutes at the Plan Commission meeting that
Okay.
watched.
Okay, Laura, thank you very much. Okay, two quick things I want to mention because we're almost at time. The one thing is I read in the WKT that the parade is happening. And so I don't, some members remember that we walked with the Green Space Alliance Commission the last parade, so 2019. And we have t-shirts, everybody, so you get some swag, new members of the commission. And so we can chat about if we want to walk and what that could look like. But I think it would be a lot of fun. We can collaborate if we want again, or if we can do something on our own. Of course, I have some ideas. They're crazy geeky, but you know, that's what I do. And then the other thing is, and I don't know if I need it, I want to have like a social where our commission can just like hang out for a little bit now that things are feeling a little safer out in the world. And on that note, Todd, are we like, does the city have a plan as of yet about like in-person meetings, or is that TBD still?
Not yet.
Okay. Soon.
So Jamie, I think council is the guinea pig. We're doing hybrid meetings now so that we are in person, but then you have virtual participation from the public.
Got
So
it.
I think they're using us to try and work it out in ways so they make sure how it works fundamentally.
Okay, good to know. Thanks. Okay, so stay tuned on just like a social, and it'll probably just be like bring your own chair and beverage and sit in my driveway for a little bit to visit. So okay, I think that is all. Does anybody have anything else they would like to share, or?
Well, just a question, Jamie. So since it's already May and 4th of July parade is on the 3rd, when do we have to decide if we're marching?
Do you want to vote right now?
No, I think it's awesome. I was just curious, like, I guess this year they haven't like set up all the floats like months in advance, huh?
Yeah, I was just kind of tickled to see that a little note in the WKT that they're taking applications for people who want to participate. So
I think we should do it.
yeah. Do you guys want to do your own thing, or should I reach out to Green Space Alliance Commission? All right, we'll talk about that. I was thinking we could do like if we were doing our plastic bag thing, which Paul and Michael and probably, well, Elizabeth and Chris, I think you were here for that. Anyway, that grant that we got, there's a Bob. Have you guys heard of Bob? It's like a ball of plastic bags. It's like it's a giant ball of like crazy plastic bags, and it's supposed to represent the number of plastic bags that a typical consumer uses every year. The St. Louis County the health department, they use that as like part of their, Bob is a ball of bags.
And we're gonna roll it down the parade.
Yes. I don't know. I was like, we could put him in a wagon or something. I don't know. Anyway, we can talk about that at the social maybe. Yeah, so TBD on that. I'll reach out to everyone. And because that's not going to be city business, we are just going to try to like get to know one another. That's like totally cool, right? Okay, coolness.
As long as you don't talk about any business.
We won't talk about any business.
The parade.
We will vote on nothing, and we will not talk about any business.
There you go.
Except a parade, yeah. Okay. Our next meeting is Monday, June 21st.
I will not be here. I'll be on vacation that week.
Good for you.
I'll have somebody else fill in for me.
That's actually the same for me, and I'll send another council member as well.
Okay.
And me as well.
Should we reconsider like scheduling?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I'm gonna be out on the 20th.
Move it back a week. Oh, we've done that before.
Yeah. So what would that be? The 28th? Let me just quick check my crystal ball.
When does the parade stuff have to be in then? Because that's awfully close to.
Yeah.
We will be so organized if we're going to do the parade by then. Yes.
Yeah, you probably got to get with Scott in the Parks Department.
Okay.
Are we going to skip July like we have in the past, just because summer vacation and all that?
I think that's prudent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have to vote on that?
Oh, sorry.
No. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So June 28th. My boys just have a dentist appointment. I'm free.
I'll verify with the city clerk's office that it's okay, but it should be.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I may not quite be back yet, so I'll
That's
try
fine.
and figure out somebody else to be here.
Okay.
I will be back. I come back on
Awesome.
the 26th.
Tad, yeah, I don't know how we would do this without you two. Okay. All right. I think that's all. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, then. That's it. 5:05. All right, team. Thanks.
Bye.
Be in touch.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet everyone. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Paul.